Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. It's time. It's the breakfast bankroll. It's the midday market report. It's the closing bell all in one today. Uh, when I got this text, I'm proud. You see, I'm smiling ear to ear. We have I don't want to say a special guest because he's welcome every day of the week on our show. Jealous, envious, starstruck. I don't know the correct words. This guy just spent 5 days on Radio Row. He's a true rock star. He is the real Vegas Dave. He is someone that I can call a good friend. And I look so forward, not just to talk to him today, to see how Radio Row was, the Super Bowl, the next 4 weeks till I see him. Actually, 29 days, Dave. I'll be landing around 10 p.m. on the 15th, hint, hint, p.m. that is, if you're still awake. So without further ado, let's bring him in, the real Vegas Dave, the one, the only, Mr. Dave Sharapan.
JD, what's up? Stop the bullshit right now.
Holy shit.
I'm picking you up at the airport. You got to remind me the morning of and at least a couple days before. But if you're coming in at night at 10, that's perfect. The house will be sleeping. I'll swing by. We'll go and we'll drop off and be able to BS a little bit. That's good. I can't wait to see you. I feel bad I couldn't squeeze you in on Radio Row, but I mean, and we'll tell you about it. Bucket list thing for me, brother. I mean, like, it was always something that I dreamt about or talked about, as a kid growing up. Always listened to the shows, going, man, it has to be so cool. And then, going to school for the journalism and broadcast and stuff, and going, oh, I'll be there someday. And life takes you a bunch of different ways. And I joked that I was a prisoner in a book for basically 20 years. Different Super Bowls. You never leave. You work a ridiculous amount of hours. And the opportunity came up. I got a pass to go to Radio Row. It was everything that I could have hoped for, and then some. It was an absolute blast.
I have to get this off my chest because I'm going to start backwards. I follow you. I follow Matt. I followed your show 24/7. I followed every day, every clip, every tweet that you had on Radio Row, tracking you like GPS. And just in awe. I was just so proud of you. I was just so excited for you. I've never seen you look starstruck like I saw you when you guys were with Pat McAfee. You were in between, you were right next to him. And listen, I love Pat to death. I love the story. I love the fact that he left the NFL early. He goes to bar stools and then he takes it to the next step and says, I think I can be bigger. He takes his own show on the road. And then a couple years later, here's FanDuel cutting him a check for $30 million a year. And he owns the opt out after 3 years. Start with Mac. Tell me all about it. And then we're going to work our way backwards.
So, I mean, I know all the guys on the show, and I know Pat from meeting him one time in person at the Cosmo, and then, having gone on the show, he's jumped on, hammered on, and said hello and all this stuff. So they get there on Tuesday, and they owned Radio Row. Like, they had the biggest set on the FanDuel set, was gigantic, and it was cool, and it had like the colors, and it was by the entrance. So every single person that walked in had to walk by. It was by design. They bought that space, no question. FanDuel said, whatever it is, whatever that cost is for that spot, we want that spot. So everyone knew when they were on, and everyone knew, who they were. And it was just one of those things. So I went over to say hello after they did the show on Tuesday, and he's a rock star. Everyone wants a piece of him. It's impossible to, but he has maintained being a human being. I mean, he's just a regular guy and who's doing his thing. So, I'm talking to Gumpy, I'm talking to Diggs. I get to finally meet Nikki Skates, Nikki Moraldo in person. We're talking all the production guys, like, and every guy has a role in there. So Zito and all the boys, they're like, Dave, what's up? What's up? Hugs, bro hugs, all this stuff. And Pat's off to the side talking to handlers and agents and people pushing everyone at Radio Rose, pushing some sort of product. Hey, man, take my card. I got this thing I want you to look at. Okay. He turns around and sees me standing with the boys and he goes, Sharapan, I love you, brother. And comes up and grabs me and hugs me like we've known each other for years. And gives me a big tight bro hug. And we have a one-on-one conversation amongst, I don't know how many people are around, and he tells me, look, man, I watch you every day. You bring it every day. I really admire what you do. And I'm like, well, thanks, man. I said, I watch you too. And I really enjoy the shows as well. So he goes, yeah, we'll figure out a way. We got these guests booked. We'll try to figure a way to have you on the show. I'd love to. And I said, all right, well, when you get time, and if you get time, if you could come over and give us, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you got, I'll take it. And I made arrangements with the boys. I'm like, listen, I want to interview each one of you as well. And they're like, yeah, we don't know if we can do that. I'm like, well, if you can, you got a spot, because each one of you have a story. You've changed the face of sports gambling content with what you're doing. And by maintaining the independence and getting the gigantic bag that so many people are looking for and want, you've done it your way. I mean, Pat wears that tank top every day. He wears the jeans every day. He wants to wear shorts. He wears shorts every day. And their show is their show. So he's got what everybody wants as far as that kind of route. And after it was all said and done on Friday, it's crazy because it's just like being in the clubhouse of the games. I was amazed all those years I was a producer doing this stuff, watching the away team pack up their stuff and get out to get to the bus, to get to the plane, to get to the next city, made it look like nobody was ever there. I used to sit and admire the clubbies and always go, man, you guys are the hardest working guys in this room. The guys that play the games got it easy. Everything's hung up in their locker. They come up, they show up, they play, and they leave. They shower and go. I said, you guys. So I'm watching this thing break down on Friday. People are gone. They're not even staying for the game. They all got red eyes Friday night, or they got parties to go to Friday night, and they're flying out early Saturday morning. Pat and the crew were taking a private jet, of course, Saturday after their thing. They're going back to do a show on Sunday. So they're working 7 days, the whole week. They ain't leaving. Pat finishes the show and walks the entire room. He sat with kids doing a college radio station show. He gave them 10 minutes. He gave these people 10 minutes. International NFL Mexico was the group next to us. He sat with them. He don't even speak Spanish. We want Pat McAfee on. We'll ask him questions. Perfect. So he comes around and people are coming at him, do this, do that, whatever. He says yes to everything. He don't ask how long it is. I can give you 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay, whatever you get. Comes over to then talk to me and Matt. And he's like, listen, I want you in the middle. I'll be on the side. It's your show. And I was like, come on, dude. We put everybody in the middle. That's the way the shot set up. He's like, no. I want you in the middle. He said, and we'll do it. He goes, 15 minutes. I'm like, that's more than enough. Let's go. So, I mean, it was amazing. And then we hung out. I hung out with the boys after that as Matt are packing up. We're trying to get all our stuff broken down because both Farah and Peralt are driving back to Vegas. And one of the veteran moves that I guess, my wife is always thinking, she made me the plane arrangements to come back Saturday. So I was like, oh, I can't wait to get back to the hotel and sleep. like, because it was a long week. But as much fun as we had with the interviews and stuff on the air and doing the shows, the little side conversations, I had a 30 to 45-minute conversation with me and Annie Agar, just the two of us talking. People's worlds are changing with this stuff, JD, and they're kids, and and they're asking me, like, the consigliere name is a fun thing, but it's true because I'm like a lot of people's sounding board, consultant, advisor. I love it all because I get to meet these people and talk to them about their lives. I mean, Annie's story is incredible. I mean, and stuff, and like, um, talk to Trent, of course, on the side. That kid is going 100 different ways. I don't know if he knows if he's coming or going, but he was all over the place. But I mean, I sat with Michael Buffer after, on the show, and he's being pushed by handlers and his guy and working the room and pushing this new Triad Corporation thing. He's talking to me about the game. He wants to know, what do you like? And it's so funny because with all of the fame and all of the opportunities and all this stuff, people are still just people. And if you just sit and listen and talk to people, I was in my jam, man. I was in a room full of people, and someone said, "Hey, you're the consig. Will you come on our show? We're based in San Antonio. What time?" All right, 2 o'clock. I'm on this show, but how about 2:15? Yes, perfect, done. Boom. I couldn't do enough. It was a joy to actually talk and meet people. Um, it was pretty cool. And meeting them was just awesome.
Radio Row has always been, the athletes, the stars, the stars of the past Super Bowl. And as the week progressed, um, you get into the game. With the off week, you only can dissect this game for so long. I mean, we had the opening numbers up for 2 weeks now. You only can talk about, is it 3.5? Is it 4? Is it now 48, 48.5? There's only so much you can talk about. You kind of hit a chord, Dave, with sports wagering, the gold rush, where it is today and where it's going to be in the next 3 to 5 years. You said it. So explain where sports wagering is taking over Radio Row. I mean, these guys, yes, we want to see the athletes. Listen, I love seeing Michael Irvin. I love seeing all the pasts. I love it. I love to hear from them. But more people want to know now about the sports wager. And you talked about Trent. That these guys, 350,000 followers, TikToks. Pat McAfee, he is God. Why? Well, he speaks our language. Okay. He puts his pants on the same way we do. I applauded him when he left Indy. I loved him at Barstools. I gave him a standing O when he went out on his own. And I rolled out the red carpet because when he got his own deal with FanDuel, it's just amazing. That's the American dream.
Yeah. And he gave back. If you haven't watched his video from when he got the deal done, and I asked him about that. You can see the clip on Bostonian versus the book too. Like, I mean, it meant something. Like, he's doing something with the money. He's not just, he's giving a lot of it away. He's doing all kinds of things. It was really exciting to see. Now, like Radio Row, which I didn't know, like Monday and Tuesday, apparently nobody goes because it's not in the budgets. So a lot of people that are there the whole week, I mean, they're the true grinders. And I mean, I showed up Sunday to get my pass so I wouldn't miss 1 second of it. And I was there at 4:45 a.m. local time on Monday to do a show back east that started at 6 with Ben Stevens on Sports Grid. And I watched it change throughout the week. And all the players start coming on Wednesday. They're shuffling them around. The NFL Network set was right over my one shoulder. CBS Sports, NBC Sports Edge, um, And then the other side was Westwood One and Fox Sports and all this stuff. In the middle was all kinds of people talking about the sports wager and about it very openly, which I thought, I mean, it was another kind of metamorphosis of this. We've been having these conversations our whole lives for years. Now we're having them right here. I said to Matt at one point, I wish we could put a book right here at the end of this counter for all of these experts in here to then be able to go take their bets, because everybody said, you should bet this, you should bet that. No, you should bet it, and I'll book it. We'll take it right down here at the end. This is very interesting. And I think that's what bodes well for us in this space, because like next year, it's in Arizona where everyone can get a license to operate. There's already a gold rush going on daily. They're battling for customers, customer acquisition fees, all these promo codes, all this stuff. It's going to be books all over the place. I can't wait to see what the space looks like, because I'm old enough to remember 3 years ago when PASPA was getting ready to pass and they were still arguing that it was bad for the game, and it was, we have to charge integrity fees and blah 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 blah. And now the biggest, best set of the whole place was the FanDuel Sportsbook set, where they were doing multiple shows. Pat and the boys had it from 9 to 1, and then there were multiple shows thereafter that obviously paid a big dollar to get those nice leather couches, the perfect sweet lighting, that purple carpet. It took you, your eye was drawn to it, one, for the, bells and whistles. But then obviously when the boys were on, they're just loud. They got day passes for a bunch of their listeners to come in. Wiz Khalifa walked in and was their surprise guest. They did an afternoon show just so they could walk Wiz in and sit with them and talk. I mean, changing the game, I don't even know if that does it justice for what they're doing.
You talked about Arizona next year. Well, let's just talk a little further. 2 years from now.
Oh my goodness. JD, I was tired, by the end of the night, like every night, and when I went back to my room and I had an early wake-up call, I joked with everyone that in 2 years, I'm not going to sleep for a week, because we'll have it where we're going to have it, and then we have Vegas all within 2 miles of it all. It's going to be awesome. I just hope that we get a good game, obviously, compelling story, but the game will sell itself because it's Vegas. It's going to be spectacular. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think all of this is building to that crescendo. Like, that's going to be the peak, I believe. I hope it doesn't peak before that, but I think that'll be the peak of all of this content, the gambling, the sports. That'll be where it all meets at the top. And then we'll see where it goes from there. Because after that, it's going to the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, the Super Bowl. I mean, I just finished with Matt on Boston versus the Book. He said his best thing about today was that it's the off season. I was like, what are you talking about? It's college basketball time. It's NBA time. There's still a lot of hockey games going on, by the way. And oh yeah, maybe there's going to be baseball, bro. Like, what are you talking about off season? There is no off season. There's no off season for us in this business. So it's exciting. It's fun. There's a lot of big things, I think, on the horizon.
The game. I talk every year. There's one side that all the tickets are a loser, and you just got to figure that one out.
Yep.
This year, it was two sides. Every over bet, whether you got it at 50.5 to 50, all the way down to 48, was a loser. Now, 2 weeks ago, our friends at the Westgate, at the Superbook, were behind the desks trying to figure out their opening number. Do you know what their actual opening number was, and they didn't release it?
For this matchup or just the AFC NFC?
No, for the matchup.
Um, no, I don't know. I mean, was it 3 and 51?
2.5. That was their number, was 2.5.
Oh wow.
And they didn't have they finally said, we're not sure, yeah, yeah. And I think they actually released 3 or 3.5. I want to say they released 3 and went immediately to 3.5. So maybe they were afraid of, obviously, the sharp heavy money. Anything at 2.5 under a field goal, they were going to get pounded by the Rams. But
Yeah.
after that, they were feeling comfortable. And they had the 51. That was their number. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's just amazing now, both sides, Rams, unless you had a future like we did here at ECSI plus 210, unless you played the money line, you lost. And all the over bets were all losers. And they broke a 12-year run where the winning team didn't cover.
Right. Yeah, that was a sweet spot, JD. That was um Rams win, don't cover. The game going under, and then the way a lot of those props kind of fell, it was a big day. It was a big day for the books. Like I saw the guy, I saw Jay yesterday. I was at the Westgate for the game. That was a lot of fun. Sammy P was there and in from out of town from Boston. But all the boys stopped by. So that was a lot of fun because I got to see a lot of faces that I hadn't seen for a couple weeks. And then Jay came out, Jay Cornegay came out and said hello, and it was um, it was a good day for the books. Like when I I can remember the last time this happened, and I remember the numbers, and now it's dwarfed because there's so much more handle. There's so many. I mean, there was not apps the last time favorite won and didn't cover. So it's changed a little bit since then. And the handle's gone up. So yeah, I think books are happy today. I was joking last night on the Twitter that, this is when they're planning their beach trips or their fishing trips or, little trip away. I forgot that today was even Valentine's Day. That's how busy everything was. It's like, all right, we got a couple weeks and then we get into conference tournaments. There's only some teams have 5 or 6 conference basketball games left. And it was funny because one of the shows last week said, well, what do you look at other than football? I said, everything. What do you mean? It's always going on. It's not just some of these shows that have the benefit of just looking at football and hoping for Envelope Monday. You're doing it every week. I mean, you're doing the games every week, and you got Envelope Monday this week. After the Super Bowl, that's a good thing.
And unlike, it's kind of funny because I think I understand what Matt said. Listen, I love NFL, and you know this better than anyone else. Long-term success, you're not going to beat the books in the NFL. Those numbers are just so sharp. They are picked through by the time they get released on Sunday afternoon now / Monday. The college games get released on Sunday afternoon at Circa and Westgate. But they're just picked through by the time you get to open and kickoff. Your CLV, your EVs, that's a comical joke, of course. I breathe a sigh of relief that, yes, football is done. I love the kids. I love the college game. Sunday, as you know, especially, is our action parlay day. I don't try to beat the books. I don't try to make $1 million on Sunday. Hey, we hit a 3-teamer for 4, 5, 6 units. God bless us. If not, we wasted a half unit or unit, and I don't have to worry about, the 10-point favorite minus 400 on the money line losing outright or anything like that.
Right. No, and I think that comes, with experience. I think that comes with I mean, the game's changed, and it changes not from week to week, but man, that game last night was not officiated the way the games were in like week 15. It was a lot of stuff let go. And a lot of things happened, obviously. I mean, the Beckham injury was huge. I think it changed the Rams' whole mindset, game plan, everything. I mean, they couldn't do what they had set out to do because they're 1A. I mean, Cooper Kupp is 1, but Beckham had become 1A, is out. So now what do? Well, you try to run the ball and play it safe and Don't let Stafford throw another pick. He throws another pick. What are we doing? We may lose this game. Like, you could feel it watching it. But the NFL's hard. The market is tough. The flags change everything. It's one play. I think as far as wagering, I mean, one, college football is still so much fun. And the older I get, the more I like it. I loved it before. I love it more now. Saturdays have that vibe, that energy. It's different than anything else. Anything else. There's 150 college basketball games on a Saturday. Doesn't have the same feel of a college football Saturday. It just does not. So yeah, it's a nice time to catch our breath a little bit and be done with, the NFL. The off season's immediately started. Numbers are up for next year. The body's not even, cold yet, and they're asking about next year's odds and what do you think it is? Man, just breathe. Let it breathe a little bit. Like, just let's focus on, why the Brooklyn Nets are a home dog today to Sacramento. Like, it's a first time. I woke up and I looked at my odds screen and I was like, wait, is that lined right? Did they put that in wrong? How could Sacramento be favored at Brooklyn today? I don't know who's playing. That's probably why. Nobody knows who's playing, but nobody knows shit anyway. So we got all this stuff going on. Let football go. Enjoy it. We'll talk about the post game and the props. I think people had a lot of fun with the props. I can't believe. Did you see that legal sports books in the United States booked the Gatorade color this year? Did you see that? I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
I'll close the Super Bowl with this. Obviously, the OBJ injury was the injury. The Rams team total easily would have went over 26.5. The game would have went over. The Rams, I think, would have been easily into the low 30s. As much as McAfee was being a bonehead, I put it up on my timeline. It reminded me, especially in that third, fourth quarter, with his stubbornness in the run game. It reminded me of the couple of years ago, the Rams and the Pats. I was expecting a nice, fun back and forth game, and it was like watching paint dry, or I said death by 10,000 paper cuts. But you got to talk about the fact that you game plan for 2 weeks. OBJ had become that guy. They knew they were going to double or do whatever they had to do to blanket Cup. OBJ was finding the spots. They had no Higbee. Okay. So now you lose Higbee, you lose OBJ, and then Higbee's backup, Blanton, got hurt. So these guys that they're rolling out, after the missed PI and T. Higgins goes for 75 yards, 2 plays later, Stafford throws a ball right into the breadbasket. The guy drops it and it's intercepted. They scored 10 points in 2 minutes. If that D didn't get the resurgence in that middle of the third quarter. Now, don't forget, the Rams had the ball on their own 38, the 42 and the 45. They needed 1 or 2 first downs to at least line up for a field goal. They didn't even get a first down.
Could not get a first down. Yeah, so it's so funny you bring up that Pats-Rams game because that was the first game that I did in-game wagering by myself. They're like, yeah, Dave, you got it. Okay. And as the game kicks off in the book, everybody, there's nothing else going on. So everybody gets pizza, sandwiches, you have all this stuff brought in, and everybody watches the game like in the risk room in the back, and all the executives are there, and I'm working. I was sweating the in game. I'm doing the numbers every play. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm working. How's the pizza? Like, I don't even have time to take a piss or nothing. What are you people doing in here? But I'm watching that game going, nobody's scoring. Nobody's scoring. No, what is going on? These defenses are dominating. Nobody's scoring. And I kept moving I was moving the total by 7s. It closed at 57.5. And they went punt, and I went 54.5. And they went punt, and I went 50.5 immediately. And then I started moving it down, and people were it was a waterfall over. And I'm watching it going, they're not scoring. They're not scoring. We got to halftime without a touchdown. And that bet that will there be a touchdown scored, yes, no, in the Super Bowl, that's free money space for all the bad guys that bet the, yes or whatever, or the odds on not scoring a touchdown, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 0. It's 100 to 1 or 150 to 1 in the book, and we never move it. You could be $1 million exposed on that because it's never happened. So we never move that number. And people throw 10 on it, throw 20 on it. Somebody will throw 100 on it. You're like, all right, I ain't gonna worry about that. We were at the halftime of that game and there was no scores. I said, there may not be a touchdown in this game. What if this finishes 9-6? We're all fired. We're going to get destroyed. So I kept moving that thing down, 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 down. And then when the Patriots scored that touchdown, the roar from the inside of the risk room was more of a sense of relief, but it was like, whoo, we dodged another bullet, That game felt like that yesterday for a while in the third quarter. There was a penalty. It was definitely pass interference offensively. He grabbed his face mask, turned his helmet, kind of threw him down, and then said, oh, yeah, I'm to the house. I'm gone. I don't know how. We got to fix that in the game. It has to be fixed where somebody can buzz and say, listen, there's 75,000 people in this stadium. There's 150 million people watching this. They all think it's interference. You didn't see it. Go throw the flag, put the ball at the 37, line them up, and let's go. Like, done. So that's the hard part for me now. Like when I see it, it's hard. It's hard enough to gain the edges in betting with all the officials and the way the game's played and called and stuff. It's harder than it ever has been. Yet we still continue to crank out, winners more than losers. It's fun, man. It's fun.
MVP. I thought it would have been obviously a hell of a story. Matt Stafford gets his ring. I think you easily could have had Matt Stafford as your MVP. Someone talked about it earlier today. First quarterback in history to have game-winning drives in all 3 of the playoff games.
Wow.
And win. So he had the game-winning drive in Tampa. He had the game-winning drive against San Fran, and then obviously he had the game-winning drive in the Super Bowl. I even said co-MVPs with him and Cup. But if you go back to the middle of the third period when it looked like Cincinnati was going to run away, Rams had nowhere to go. Donald took that whole team on his back, and their defense just took it to another level. And the fact is that he basically had the last sack where Burrows did throw the ball away. If you had the final vote, who was your MVP yesterday?
As soon as Stafford threw the second pick, I was in the room with a bunch of people, and I'm like, all the Rams are live now. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, that second pick will be an excuse or reason why they won't vote Stafford. If the Rams come back and win, I said anybody can win it. And I started saying, because I did the shows all week, and I was like, don't waste your time betting a defensive guy. It's so hard for a defensive guy to win the MVP. If a defensive guy didn't win the MVP when the final score was 13-3 Patriots, they're going to give it to the quarterback as long as he don't throw the picks. Well, Stafford threw 2 picks, so he's out. So who could it be? I would have given it to Donald. But I didn't know this either, but the Super Bowl MVP votes have to be done and tallied by the 2-minute warning of the fourth quarter. So you don't see the end in a game that comes down to the end like it did last night. Because I think if people would have waited and seen those couple plays by Donald to clinch it with the game that he had, he very well could have been the MVP. So, I mean, I'm okay with Kupp getting it. 2 touchdowns as a receiver is a big deal. And, he did have 8 receptions, 92 yards, which, again, that would be over anyone's prop except Cooper Kupp. You can't. He's the only one that has 892 and 2 touches and only goes over in one of the 3 because that's a good game. But I think I would have given it to Donald. You? Did you think anyone else?
Well, I'll go back to Stafford. The first interception was just a punt. That's all it was.
Correct.
was he caught it in the end zone. I mean, if he caught it on the 1 or the 2, I had no problem with that. And of course, the second one was not his fault. I mean,
Right.
he gets a lot of quarterbacks get a lot of blame that throw a lot of interceptions or make bonehead plays. Neither one of those interceptions were. I mean, again, the first one was a punt, and
Yeah.
it was third and jet blue,
Long.
and
Yeah.
and, and the second one again, it was right in the guy's hands, and he just dropped it, and the Cincinnati guy was there. I respected everything with Cup. I just think if you really looked, you had to go back to the middle of the third quarter when the Rams weren't moving the ball. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't get a first down. And Donald kind of pulled that team together and said, all right, guys, come out, jump on my back. I got you. And I think it would have been more sentimental, especially with the talks that before the kickoff, he's talking to me, he might retire.
I didn't know that. I just heard that today. I can't remember because I did a bunch already this morning. I can't remember who said that. I'm like, he's going to retire like right now if they win. There may be a lot going on behind closed doors there if he's talking about retiring, right? If he's talking about being at the top of it all, and the first thing he says is, I'm thinking about retiring, it's a telltale sign for me. I mean, and we make the odds. They're the odds-on favorite, Jeff. They're the odds-on favorite. How is that even possible? McVay may retire.
Book it.
Right? Exactly. Like, you tell me, someone asked me, better chance to get back. Was it Rams or Bengals? I'm like, man, think about it. And somebody equated Burrow to Marino getting to the Super Bowl his second year. Yeah. He never got back. I hope for the Bengals fans' sakes and for Joe Burrow that there's a way to get back. The AFC is going to be hard, man. It's going to be hard. Just, forget about their own division with the Ravens going to bounce back. The Browns may figure it out. Steelers got a little bit of ways to go. Replacing Roethlisberger is going to be tough. But then you got Buffalo. You got Kansas City. In Kansas City's division, you got, possibly Denver. Possibly, with if Rodgers goes there. Oh, yeah, the Chargers. Okay. And then, a team up by you. They look like they may have turned a corner. They got their guy. I saw Mac at the Radio Row. He looked like a baby. I mean, and we were on with, I forget who we were talking to, but he walked by. Peralt didn't even recognize him. I said, that's Mac Jones right there. You want me to go grab him? He's like, we're on the show. I'm like, keep talking. I'll be right back. I said, I could go get him. So, next year we'll have to figure out a way. I'm going to need a pass for my guy JD to be the guest booker and just hustle over. Hey, we got a show over here. We'd like you to have you on. That's a job in itself, like talking and booking and guests and stuff. So I don't know, man. I don't know what's in store for Cincinnati, but I know as long as it involves Joe Burrow, I want to see more of it.
Back to that MVP for a second. I had the only hard time I had giving it to Cooper Kupp was the fact that OBJ was your MVP if he didn't get hurt in my eyes. I mean, his numbers, it took Kupp till late in the fourth quarter to surpass OBJ's numbers, who basically played a half of football, not even a full half. And so that was my one thing about, listen, Kupp had an amazing year. I mean, he's another version of Calvin Johnson. A lot of people want to compare. He's just uncoverable. And
was Burrow your MVP if it was Cincinnati? I don't think it was. I don't think there was a single debate. If Cincinnati, if they drive down there and score or even tie it and then win in overtime, it's Joe Burrow, right? Like there was no question anyone else on Cincinnati could have got it.
Correct. No doubt.
Okay.
Zero doubt. No, you brought up some great points. I thought of Marino. I was a freshman in college, and Marino against San Francisco his second year, and of course I had Miami plus 3.5. I lost, and San Fran wins that game. So it was kind of comical. That was my thoughts. The AFC, I had talked with our co-host Scotty all the time, and we were kind of a little salty. Really wanted to see the Chiefs in there. I would have put the Chiefs 1.5 point favorites against the Rams. I think it would have been a better, more fun game. But the other side of the coin is all the Buffalo Bill guys just had to been shaking their head because if the Rams played like they did, the Bills would have put up 27 easy because
for sure.
Allen would have been able to maneuver out of that pocket, no question asked.
Yep. Yeah. We'll never know the matchup that never was, but I know that we saw Kansas City play the Rams on that Monday night. Do you remember that one a couple years ago? I did the in-game for that one. We had just switched over to a new system, and they didn't want to let the new guy do it because I was off on Mondays. So I was like, all right, I'll come in and do the in-game.
Had to be the most busiest one you ever had in your life.
It was incredible. I actually put 102.5 as a total in a football game. It was getting over bets. The game was incredible. They went back and forth, traded scores, fast, quick scores, long scores. I mean, everything that could have possibly went over. And if that would have been a Super Bowl, that's when the books get crushed. That's why a lot of those under props come in, and the books are like, yeah, this is easy. Okay, it's easy until you get a game like that. So we'll probably get a game like that soon where it's just, fireworks, offensive fireworks going over. Yesterday wasn't that.
Moving forward, you talked. We got a couple weeks left till conference time in hoops. Myself, Wednesday, will be at stores to see UConn Seton Hall.
Ooh.
Saturday, they host Xavier at noon. I think I'm going to pass on that because Tuesday, and I hope Frankie's listening. I know you're not, but next Tuesday at the XL Center, remind him there's a team called Villanova coming to town, and him and his Jay Wright, the greatest coach since sliced bread, and how they're so banged up and yada yada yada. And listen, Ken Palm already has Villanova favored by 2 in that game. Which, listen. There is no way. I'm marking it right now. It's 3:48 Monday, Valentine's Day. There's no way in hell UConn is losing to Nova next Tuesday.
I love it. Listen, this is what happens though, right? You start to see these things where these teams are favored at the other place, and it doesn't matter the teams. The play a lot of times is the dog. You just blindly do it. I've learned this for years. Like, wait a second, is this the second time they play and they lost the first time and they're getting points? Yeah, that's a bad guy play. You just come in, dump the bag, make the play, live with the result. You end up on the right side more often than not. The books can't completely flip it and go that route because, one, it takes stones. And as I'm finding out more and more, and I'm talking to people, everybody just wants to have the same line. They don't want to have a different line. It's easier when you have the same line. How everybody can look at a game and come up with, Golden State is at the Clippers tonight. How is the whole world at 6? How is that possible? I mean, everyone has the same power rating. Everyone has the same numbers. No. Villanova at UConn. Are you good with pick? Would you make it a pick?
I think they're going to open it at 2 I don't think they'll open it at 2. It's at the XL Center, which is in Hartford. It's not on campus.
Oh, okay.
So
why did they do that, JD? To get a bigger crowd?
I'm trying to figure that out because I think maybe they're trying to appease the Hartford area. There's been talks that they may move everything to Hartford. I don't know. Get it out of stores. It makes zero sense. I mean, a lot of UConn Twitter this year is complaining about the fact that they're not getting loud fans and fan support at Gamble, and some of their efforts have shown. They lost to Creighton, 10-point favorites at the XL Center. It's not happening. It hasn't been good.
You've been to both. Would you change your rating on a game? Is it that big of a difference between the two venues?
100%. Gamble is you are on top of the floor. It's loud and proud. Now, being a season ticket holder, I'm about 10 rows back uh,
Okay.
in the left corner, right even with one of the baskets. Um, the student sections to the right under one of the baskets. Um, I was there. Well, last year was COVID. The year before, when they played Florida, and Hurley walks out, and it was like the president was walking. It was the loudest thing. I mean, the place just went bonkers. I called up one of our clients. I'm like, dude, he lives in Chicago. I says, if you are not betting UConn, you better bet him right now. This place is electric. And they beat Florida that day. It is apples and oranges. It really is.
Wow.
And it sucks for the kids. I mean, it's only a half hour wait. Listen, how about me? I'm 2.5 hours from stores, right? So, hey, I get up there, put the Sirius radio on, I work, I drive up there, grab my daughter, we have dinner, we go to the game, and it's 2.5 hours back. It's 3 hours to Hartford. So by the time I get her at stores and to get to Hartford, it's another 45 minutes. So,
Wow.
so the game next Tuesday is an 8:30 start in Hartford. If I'm lucky, I get out of the place by 11. I'm back to stores at 12. I'll be tiptoeing through the tulips in Cape Cod at 2:45 a.m. on Tuesday/Wednesday morning.
It might be worth a hotel stay. Sleep and then get up and drive in the morning. That's a long day, man. And then, hopefully you'll have the energy from a win, from a UConn win. But these are the types of games we get, now, especially the second time through. I love the second time through matchups right before conference tourneys start. I think you can find a lot of value.
Well, you would have been proud of us Saturday. Um, Tulsa, Cincinnati, Tulsa at home. Cincinnati beat them by 30 the first time. And guess what? Cincinnati was favored by 2 on Saturday.
How'd
And,
that work out?
and guess who had Tulsa boxed away?
I'm guessing ECSI.
And you talked about the Sacramento play. That's the first thing. Sacramento, 4.5 point favorites at the Nets. You would have been proud Friday. The numbers for the totals aren't like they were last year, but they posted Minnesota, Chicago on Friday, last Friday, while you were on Radio Row. 241 was the under over.
Wow.
Who had the over?
I'm guessing ECSI.
255. Thanks for playing.
Never a doubt. That's just you just start to see it. You really start to see the board, which is really good. Now they don't always win. Sometimes you really do get the best number, and you don't always win. But there's a lot of times I think the value of watching the numbers with the college basketball right now it's stronger than ever. Listen, I tweeted about it over the last weekend. Saturday, 6 games, 6 favorites in the NBA, win and cover. Sunday, 8 games, 8 favorites, win and cover in the NBA. Monday, thanks to Phoenix blowing a game that they had covered, a dog covered. Tuesday, a dog finally won a game, but only one. It was I believe it was 27-2 ATS against the spread. Come on. I mean, it is hard. So you got to, college is even more so. You have to pay attention to the numbers. And again, you got people listening to the show from all over. Now's a good time to get in with you. I don't need to sell your service. It sells itself. But now's a pretty good time because there's been a lot of people not really paying attention to college basketball, and they're looking for something to get into because football's done. And for people like you to have just been into it all day, it's probably a good time to maybe dive in and get ready. I've seen what you can do in March. Can't wait to see it in person. 29 days? 29 days?
29. I'm not counting. And the fact that we got 8 inches of snow yesterday and this
Oh.
morning. So that was 2 weeks ago. We got 2.5 feet. So, I mean,
You're still digging out from that. Oh,
And you know, my March trip is funny. I said this. I'll have 17 days, 17 nights with you in Vegas. And the first day, you can mark this down. This happens every time. The first day I land, high 70s, low 80s. And then on the 15th or the 17th day, will be low 80s. In between, it's windstorms, low 60s. That's why I booked my trip in July for the World Series of Poker. At least I get the 110 and 115.
right. In July, you don't got to worry about it. Yeah. No, March is funny. March is you're absolutely right. We'll probably get a couple like Chamber of Commerce days that are just perfect. You're just like, oh my goodness, I'll move here tomorrow. I'll be here. This would be great. And then it rolls into the weekend or whatever. And then you wake up one day, wind's howling 35 miles an hour. It's dropped 20 degrees. It's a little chilly in the morning. The dust is all over. And you're like, wait a second, what what happened to the first couple of days it was here? And it goes. So yeah, you'll be geez, man. If there's baseball, you ever been to spring training in Arizona?
Uh, It's fun. Every time I get out there in March, the guys have, usually I'm there for the first weekend. They do all their high stakes fantasy baseball at the Bellagio. So
Yeah.
I'll tail them. This year, I'm getting out a week before them.
Mhm.
And that I would love to do that. I've been asked to go, and I'm always the guy, you know what? Because they'll rent the car, they'll go down for a couple days, and then they'll come back. And I'm
Yeah.
the one that's, I'm a what is it? FOMO, fear I'm going to miss out on something. I came to Vegas for a reason. Meanwhile, I get a chance to go watch some baseball.
It's true, but listen, you're not that far from Fenway Park. You can go watch baseball, real baseball every day. If you want to go to Arizona, you can just to see the stadiums, and it's fun to go watch baseball. But I was like you at Radio Row. I would go in the morning. I'm there the whole day. People are like, "Hey, we're going to see the Hollywood sign. Hey, we're going down, to see Sunset Boulevard and the Hollywood Walk of Fame and all this stuff. Do you want to go?" I'm like, "No, I'm working. I'm here in LA doing stuff. I don't need to go do that stuff." So you said you want to come to Vegas and just sit in the book and hang out and work. That's perfectly okay too. You don't need to go to Arizona then. I totally understand. Um, but that week early is probably not a bad idea. I just don't know if there's going to be baseball.
No, listen. I've been following our buddy Bernie. Bernie's been keeping me in tow. I heard through the grapevine uh, from a friend that has actual lawyers in the irons of the fire that there's a March 1st. There's going to be a March 1st settlement. They're going to miss a couple of weeks of spring training, obviously, but all systems will be go. I think it's the day I'm leaving. I get the red eye on the 31st. I could have stayed to the first if I wanted to. So that baseball starts on that Thursday night, Friday. I'm
Mm.
hearing it's going to happen. Now, Bernie's telling me something else. So I'm hoping, and one of our big time friends and followers, Mr. Follow Fade, Mr. Lucky, is chomping at the bit for you and I. They're coming in at the second weekend. They're
Can't
coming.
wait to meet that guy. I can't wait to
They're
meet him.
staying at the Nugget.
That's
So we'll be
great.
they can't wait. We're going to be doing some circuit tours. We're going to be introducing them to the some of the big dogs
Yep.
and watch a game or two. Then we're going to go have dinner. We'll figure it out from there, but they're chomping at the bit. Where I wanted to lead in because you know me, I would steal you for till I have to go bowling tonight. But
What's your number tonight?
oh,
682 and a half?
no, I'm going over. Book the over. I got a brand new ball. I haven't thrown it yet, but this thing will work wonders. I tell you what, I am guaranteeing you this. I am guaranteeing
700 series? You
I am
guarantee?
guaranteeing you this. And if I don't get it, I always take care of you. But instead of South Point and Del Mar, I'll let you choose where lunch is at South Point. I'm going to go, I guarantee over a 700 tonight.
Man, you don't play. I mean, that's a big number. That's a big number. I'm a book guy at heart. I want to take the under, but you never say that. This ball must be really, you must have had it fitted just right for them fingers. I
Like a glove.
Oh, I need to text immediately after game 2. I want to see where we're at because if you put up a 250 plus both games, pretty much a done deal.
I'm listen, I've come 799, 798, 791, 790. Never got the 800. I got the 300. Never got the 800. So that's the
Oh,
next one. So we're,
man.
we're knocking on that door. But Dave, before we let you wrap this whole thing up here, um, what's the next month in store for Dave Sharapan? In other words, listen, we didn't even break down any games. You and I both know I'm a college basketball junkie. I enjoy the hockey. I know we're getting closer to hockey playoffs, NBA All-Star break, NBA playoffs, which I put on the back burner because from today, it's all about the kids to the conference championship till they cut the nets down to the MLB first pitch and then 2 weeks after the Masters. But I want to know your next 4 weeks, your next 29 days before I see you at McCarran Airport.
Well, the the travel softball team is dark right now, so that's good. So I'll be focused on, professional sports, college sports, book sports, all this stuff. Obviously the content stuff. We're doing, the daily show with me and Peralt every day from 10 to 11:30 ish. Sometimes we ramble a little bit, but we're trying to keep that tight, 10 to 11:30. And then the sports grid stuff's changing. They're changing the calendar. There's a lot of things happening in this space, um, where I think people's deals are up, people's deals are changing. They're changing, faces. They're changing ideas. So right now, the plan is every day still doing the 4 to 7 in-game live stuff along with the rest of the hits. I mean, the Wager Talk guys we just confirmed again for tomorrow, so we'll be doing that. And then from there, I mean, I was on the MLB hot stove with Harold Reynolds and Matt. How do you say his last name? Viskurgeon, Matty V. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which was really cool because I got to talk to them for 5 minutes before they hit off the air, and we had an amazing conversation. So hopefully we'll be doing some more stuff with MLB is the plan. And then it's really a lot of educating, listening, making phone calls in between to learn this college basketball stuff to be ready for March Madness. I mean, I I was walking through Circus Saturday night because I got off the plane, came home, said hello to my one daughter who was here. The other daughters are out running around. As these kids get to be teenagers and have wheels. Saturday night, they ain't waiting to see dad. I only been gone a week. We'll see him when we get home. We're on it. He's on our time. Okay. So I went down to Circa and Derek was there. And he grabbed me and hugged me and said, dude, I love what you're doing. I watch you in LA all day. You're making Vegas proud. We got to get together and do something. I said, okay, I'm right here. I've been here the whole time. Big D, let's go. So, yeah, that was fun. So maybe we're going to talk to them about doing some stuff. I don't know specifically, but I know, we're in that zone, man. I'm in the same zone you are, just waking up, making moves, talking to people, being happy, being content with what you got, grateful for what you have, opportunistic and thankful for any opportunity that may open up or come. So the next week the next month is the start of everything for March Madness. I mean, we're just trying to get things in line. We're talking to books about doing shows live from the books. Um, we had an opportunity, Matt and I did to maybe do a show yesterday from a couple different books. And I was like, dude, can we just enjoy the game? Like we could do a show. I did 3 hours of content yesterday remote. I mean, I got on with Scotty Farrell. I got to meet Farrell. Now we're buddies. I did his show 3 times while I was out in LA. We traded text phone numbers. I drove him home one night. One of the greatest stories that I've had in the last 10 years was me driving Farrell home and I almost killed Farrell. He said, what are you doing, Davey? You can't do that. You didn't even look on the side. You're going to get me killed. I missed an exit. And he goes, where are you taking me? You're trying to kill Farrell. I'll kill you if you're taking me down this dark road. And I couldn't stop laughing. So I'm doing a Farrell impersonation. Oh, Pharrell, he's laughing. We had such a good time, man. So I think just stay tuned. Let's put it that way. I'll leave you with that. We'll stay tuned to see. I got to put it on the calendar. 29 days away. I'm going to put an X through like I did when I was in Curacao. Another day closer to JD's arrival. You can't let me forget. I don't want to leave. You have to get an Uber. I'll pick you up.
I'm staying at some hotel I've never stayed for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on the strip across from MGN. Oi, or it's
Oh boy, you ain't gonna like that place.
well, it's
Oh
the
yeah,
what is it?
oh yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
the only place I could get before I'm spending the 2 weeks like I always do at Grandview across from South Point. So
yeah.
I needed the 3 day filler just to get me there. And so as long as it has a double lock, that's all I'm going to ask, right?
I think you'll be all right with that. Yeah, yeah.
But the rest of it, no.
You ain't gonna like it. I know your standards. You ain't gonna like it at all. I wouldn't let the girls stay there. Let's put it that way. That's always my judgment. Is would I let the girls stay there without me? I wouldn't let the girls stay at OYO without me.
Well, I might need a bodyguard.
We'll see about that.
um, Tell everyone where to find you, all your podcasts, all your social media platforms. Listen, I don't say this to say this, okay? You are the true, real Vegas Dave. You absolutely 100% a rock star. You are opening doors for myself and a bazillion other people. We can't thank you enough for your work. We can't, because before the pandemic, we were just people on social media that didn't
Yeah,
know our ass from our elbow. And I
yeah.
think people have finally opened up their eyes and said, hey, you don't need a blue check mark. You don't need 100,000 followers. You just need people that put their pants on the same way everyone else does, that grind this thing out day by day and just be upfront and real. That's all.
I'll tell you what, and Matt said it on one of the shows. There was a lot of people on Radio Row that, for lack of a better term, were walking with a stick up their ass. and 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 Pharrell said it on the show with us that he did. If you go back and watch that clip, he's like, "There's a lot of people walking around here that think they're important and think that their opinion really is the only opinion or the only one that matters." And we're not like that. And I've never been like that. And now that I have an opportunity to do stuff and I don't have to change. This is you get the same me when we sit down and have lunch than when we turn the cameras on and do the stuff. So I think it's been a joy to do it. I appreciate the comments. You know, I always have I always have that in mind. I always want to try to be when I go on a show, be the best guest I can be. And when I have someone on my show, just have a conversation, man. Like, and learn something about them that, I know Monday night is bowling night for you. I can't wait to get the text to see what you bowled. And now you're putting a number on it. Now we got something to talk about. I can't wait. But see, that's what I try to do with everyone. And like Pat even said that, he said, I try to learn something so I can have a conversation about anything. And that was like, I mean, I got so much out of doing the shows from other people that I will take and use and give them credit. That's the other thing. I don't need credit. You know where my dad used to say, where you find credit? Under C in the dictionary. And I use it every day. It's all this stuff is all coming around. So I mean, my Twitter handle is sportsbk for sportsbook conciliary. It's easy to remember when you like I was told people on planes. Do you have Twitter? Yes. Just type sports BK. It's the first thing that comes up. So it's right there. And all my appearances are on there. My podcast is Cash Considerations. Is another one called Eight in a Box that I do with another very dear friend, Brad Howe in West Virginia. Then Bostonia versus the book with Matt every day, 10 to 11:30 Pacific, 1 o'clock East. And then every night right now with Sports Grid, I got to meet those guys, Donnie Right Side Wall Seymour, Kevin Walsh, two real dudes. I mean, I picked Donnie up at the airport at LAX, and we were listening to rap music on the way back. So much fun and joy. Had dinner with Kevin and Ben Stevens. I'm on with them. I was on with Ben this morning on the morning after on Sports Grid. And then Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart, my Canadian friends, who are Gabe is completely crazy. But you want to talk about an absolute joy to work with. So we're on those shows every day. I'm telling you, I keep telling you, stay ready because they love this Boston accent. They have this New England thing. And I'm like, well, the Bruins, they're getting it together. The Celtics, I cannot figure out. One of the biggest enigmas in the NBA right now. I think they're good, and then when they think they're good, they're not. And then just when you think they're not good and they're really they go on a 3 or 4 game winning streak, winning as dogs outright. The team's driving me crazy. But that Boston accent, they want that more. So, the gambling, you got a little Boston, twinge in you. I think we'll be all right.
And I just want to thank all the listeners, all our loyal listeners, Mr. Lucky, Mr. Culin, Mr. Marty Lowe, all our fans on Twitch, which we are going to be starting up real soon. Some in-game live wager talk, which we can't wait to get going. And I just want to show everyone the script that I sent to Dave before this show. It's called right here. Okay. That's the script. This is the brother that I never had, right?
Right.
You're talking to two guys that I've told the story. I'm going to tell it again. Okay. We get to South Point at 11:30. He gets lunch. Okay. And I had twice had to go walk over to Del Mar to warm up his chowder because between Chris Andrews, between Jimmy Vaccaro, between the morning VSiN crew to the afternoon VSiN crew, 4:30, he's still trying to finish his chowder.
That's funny. That's right. The guys came in and did the morning show. We said hello to them. And then Humans and Wes Reynolds came in later and did the afternoon. It's funny. I saw them last night too. And they're like, how was LA? I said, oh, it was just like another day. We were just talking. They're like, how the hell do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm getting the energy. I literally thank God every day for it. But this is what we do. We sit, we go with intentions to have breakfast. We have 2 meals. We keep an eye on the games. We look at the opening number because we were there early in the morning. And then we're getting ready to see all the moves and all the closes. It's fun hanging out in the book when you know all these people and you see the characters and you meet them. And you don't have to actually take the bets. You can make the bets. It's way more fun. It's way more fun.
I can't wait 29 days and counting. I will give you a million heads up.
Yep.
I will send you my itinerary. I am now shaking in my boots for the yo-yo. I knew I should have grabbed the Tahiti Village for those 3 days, but for some reason I wanted to be on the Strip for 3 days. That will be for a whole nother story. So listen, from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, and Dave Sharapan at Sportsbook Consig, a cash consideration show, Bostonian versus the book. We can't thank you guys enough for watching and listening. Retweet this show, watch it a million times. Go to YouTube, go to Twitch. It's always a joy. I blessed and honored. Didn't get the Radio Row show, but this is even better because I had a full week of watching you on Radio Row. Now we get the live Dave back from Radio Row, post, after, whatever you want to say, Super Bowl. Now it's showtime. It's March Madness. It's conference tournament time, and I can't wait. So, Dave, thank you again.
Good luck tonight, bowling, JD. That's all I'm concerned about right now. It's Monday night bowling.
Book it. Everyone, thank you so much. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Always remember this when you are wagering. Wager and invest responsibly. If you have a problem, there's an 800 number available. Pick up the phone and ask for help. Why? Because myself and David care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. Have a blessed day. Remember, I said it first. I will be bowling over 700 today. I will post that score on Twitter later tonight. Have a day. See you tomorrow.